Well, joining us live now is the Domino's Pizza Chief Executive, Don Meij. Don, there with the unmistakable badge there behind you. I certainly did my best to prop up your share price during the course of the pandemic, but here we are. Just before we get to your numbers from yesterday, I do want to ask you about the Prime Minister last night. As a member of the country's big business community, as you are, what do you make of the Prime Minister's claim that he needs help with, or your help, businesses' help with climate and his economic agenda?
Yeah, I haven't read all the details of what the Prime Minister said, and we're a pizza company, not a political company. But what I can say is we're very, very committed to ESG. We're the first fast food company globally to have our science-based targets actually approved by the Commission. In other words, the pathway, they've reviewed it and said, yeah, this looks very, very credible. We're fortunate that because a significant part of our business is in Europe, and Europe is a leader in this space, that our team there have, lit up most of the initiatives. And whilst we're an Australian company, we're able to look at those pathways, and we're working really, really hard to achieve them, and we're off to a good start.
Okay, well, what about his IR reforms? Do you have concerns that they will drag down productivity?
Look, I haven't seen all the details. So anything that, that the government and business is going to work together on, if it's genuine, then that's a positive thing for our team members. As long as it's a genuine, negotiation and a general partnership that all things are being considered, then we'd be thinking that's a good thing.
I mean, can the franchisees afford increased costs is basically the shorter way around that?
Yeah, so one of the things that's happening all over the world is that of all the inflationary costs right now, wages are by far the most significant. We're now seeing tailwinds where soft commodities like cheese and wheat and proteins are coming down, energy's coming down, transport's coming down. But right around the world, we continue to see really significant inflation. In fact, we're forecasting in our Dutch business that we'll probably see about a 10% wage increase in January. That's being forecast by the government. So these things are quite real in this environment. It was also foreshadowed by most of Western governments that we operate in at the beginning of this decade that was a huge agenda, that too few people made too little of the money, and that this decade they were going to right that ship, and so far that seems to be what's happening.
Well, we do have higher energy costs here in Australia at the moment. I mean, we're hearing about this every week, Don. So how are you going to be able to cope with that? How are franchisees going to be able to cope with that? How can they not pass those costs on to the customers?
Yeah, one of the great things about a pizza business is that our energy usage is quite small. Our biggest carbon footprint is actually cows with milk and cheese. So, a Domino's store is typically about 100 square meters. And when you look at our biggest input costs, electricity is quite low. And then we do have initiatives built into our roadmap, and that, we are going to continue to work to try and bring down the costs of just the operating of the amount of electricity, the amount of energy we use in our stores.
I guess I thought the ovens would account for a fair bit.
They're gas today.
Yeah.
And so, yes, and gas prices have been fluctuating. But yeah, they're still quite a small amount. I mean, they don't come anywhere near the input costs of food, labour and marketing costs, which are the biggest costs in our business.
Okay, I was interested in some of the comments that you made yesterday, Don, the lessons that you've learned over the past year tackling high inflation. I was interested in that mea culpa that you said. The extra delivery fees did not work. Now you've reversed that. Can you woo back customers, or have they, turned to making pizzas from home? Ovens are getting better now in the home, or have they moved to local restaurants?
Yeah, this is a really good question. The whole fast food industry is very buoyant at the moment, and pizza's part of that now. We did make a mistake last year. The whole industry has a delivery service fee, so we fell into the trap that we should do it as well. But it's been a competitive advantage that we didn't have a delivery service fee, and our customers made it very clear to us. So yeah, the good news is we've already recovered. On the average store has now recovered the orders lost, and we're now growing against that. So we announced yesterday our same-store sales were up 6.6% for the first 7 weeks. And that's a growth in delivery and carry out. So it's a great start to the year, and it's coming back.
Jobs are going though. Will there be more?
Yeah, there's two elements to this. First of all, we need about 3,000 more jobs in our stores because they're growing so quickly at the moment, and delivery is labour intensive, which means we need a lot more delivery drivers right now. So around 3,000 jobs in our stores. Our global network, now you've got to remember we operate in 12 markets around the world, 20% of our support office is being reduced, and that's partly to make our business more efficient. We grew incredibly quickly. We're at 3,800 stores today, and that's happened. I mean, we're up 50% since pre-pandemic in our store growth. And so, we took a relook at ourselves and said, look, we've got too many layers in the business, and we need to be more efficient, because the other thing is all inefficiency gets passed back to the customer. And so we needed to make this restructure.
Right. So, I mean, I know you say your pizza, not politics, but you need staff. So are you for higher migration then?
Yes, absolutely. And I've always been pro that for Australia, but obviously, I'm a retailer as well, and so that's always been good for retailers. But yes, Australia's got a very small population relative to the rest of the world, and I think we've got a great community. And why wouldn't we open it up to more people?
Okay, well, I've got the Treasurer Jim Chalmers coming up in about 15 minutes, and we'll be discussing that. But Don Meij, appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you.